Hey guys, we're back again. We'll be looking at another Hasegawa Phantom this week with their 148th skill F-4EJ Kai Phantom and special markings for the 302nd JASDF Squadron's final year with the Phantom. Let's open her on up and take a look. So, overall, the difference between a base F-4E and the F-4EJs is primarily limited to antennas and some of the various other bulges on the wingtips. Those are the main differences. They also have, flip it over, hard slats. That's a major difference between the two versions, and something which, if you're looking to build a hard-winged F-4E, best kits you can potentially get to do that are these F-4EJ kits. Those will give you the parts to do that. Beyond that, there's not that much in the way of differences, other than a couple oddball things, but that's getting way out into the weeds. Beyond that, still, in terms of quality, it's typical Hasegawa Phantom. The RF-4E we looked at some time ago now. It's probably a good example of that. In this case, much of the components are going to be the same. So this will go a little quicker. Yeah, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot to really add. If you built one Hasegawa Phantom, you've really built them all. Now, one thing I will note, and I don't recall seeing this on the previous view, is that they do have a different set of intakes here. And they actually have, a different set on another sprue we'll look at in a second. But with this set, it's actually recessed panel lining as opposed to raised. So that is a little bit of a difference. Again, much the same in terms of detailing and shaping for the fuselage halves. Nothing really new added here. Much the same detailing for the landing gears, gear doors, and air brakes. Yeah, and a lot of this is going to be the same regardless. Now, one thing on the RF-4 we did not see was here the standard nose for the E's, which obviously does include the 20mm gun. Obviously, you don't have the parts to build that, which, honestly, if someone does know of a aftermarket set to allow you to display the gun, either being worked on or just on its own, would be very cool to have. Continuing on, much the same cockpit as before, and now, as I mentioned, these other intakes do have raised details, so obviously you're not going to want to use those if you have the alternative. Cockpit detailed much the same as before. Really not a whole lot's been changed as far as that stuff goes. Similarly here with the additional weapon sprue, albeit if you're going to be building it as the box art example, you're not going to be using them, as obviously this was done just as a sort of farewell showbird. Again, more tanks. Now, one thing I was disappointed with this kit was that it didn't include the single-piece canopy. That, obviously, if you're going to be building it with the canopies closed, is a godsend just because it makes assembly a lot simpler, as you're not having to fiddle with getting all of this aligned, especially this mid-section piece here. So that is a bit of a disappointment, and I would say is the biggest fault I find with this kit, is not including that. So let's put this stuff back, and we'll get on to the decal sheet. Have to play with organizing. All right. Now, the big draw of this kit is it's massive, and I do mean basically the size of the box. Massive Decal Sheet for the single showbird. So this is definitely one you're going to need to take some time to get the decals on. And that's even before we start talking about the just massive section of stenciling. Color registration on this is fantastic. Hasegawa really pulled out the stops for this one. They made sure to do this and do it right. Now, I will admit there is a fair amount of extra decaling. So it would have been nice that they maybe had this stuff broken up a little more. Yeah, it would make getting everything aligned a little more challenging, but you wouldn't have to deal with quite as much excess decal. Beyond that, though, a fantastic job here. Definitely want a labor of love to send this plane off. As far as instructions go, it's pretty straightforward. There's no real major gotchas. If you built one Hasegawa Phantom, you basically build them all. Simply starts in cockpit, builds out from there. Only thing I would say is do make sure you get your nose weight in, otherwise it will be a tail sitter. The only real issue here I found is going to be doing the decals, and that's mainly just because of the quantity. There is a lot going on, and you're going to be doing decal layering. So this is one, read the instructions, take your time, and go slow. Make sure you've got the right decal going on at the right time. And yeah. So overall, to be honest, this kit really doesn't offer a whole lot new other than, honestly, the decals. So that is something to be aware of. But if you don't already have a Japanese Phantom, this is definitely one to consider, especially since they're going away this year in 2019. So you may not be able to see them anymore. Beyond that, there are actually several different Phantom retirement kits Hasegawa's been putting out at the time of this recording. So those are all ones you might want to look into getting, just because it is a farewell special library. So that was a look at Hasegawa's 148 F-4EJ Kai Phantom in farewell markings for the 302nd JASDF Squadron. Typical Hasegawa Phantom quality. If you've built one, you've built them all. So should have some idea of what you're getting into, albeit much more difficult decal scheme. So until next time.